so happy working with the Metabolic Code team on this is we've basically built a portal that's part of the Metabolic Code system so that once you assess somebody, or even if you just did a visual assessment, but you know the patient needs some sort of a dietary or a lifestyle change, you don't have to just tell them to go home and do something. You can actually give them a directed plan where they're going to get a plan. This is why the visual shows somebody holding an iPad of what they should do today. Their meal plan for today, their exercise plan for today, what to eat, what not to eat. And we wanted to make it simple because, we've talked to a lot of practitioners, Jim and Andy included, about the challenges of trying to do that on a daily basis and not wanting to reinvent the wheel, but wanting to give quality content at the same time. So with the Lifestyle Guidance Portal, you can actually assign a diet, exercise, or other program from a library of plans that is already set out for you, although you can make some changes to it or build your own content if you like. And literally just seconds and a few clicks, put a patient on one of those plans and know that they're going to receive content from you within minutes that goes to them every single day or as often as you like by email, text, or on the portal. And we've got the Metabolic Code diets. That's the premium part of our library, amazing elimination, reintroduction phase diets, as well as maintenance phase. Literally cover a patient with content for the next 120 days. Gluten-free, vegetarian, paleo, all the common diets that your patients want and that you'd like to put them on. Not everybody goes for a ketogenic diet, but we have templates for that, as well as weight loss programs, exercise plans, and a library of over 400 different exercises with videos and photos that you can use in any combination to guide your patients through exercise, diet, or lifestyle change. And as I think Jim mentioned earlier, it's difficult to leverage some of your own ideas if it's going to be a difficult process technologically. We've made it so that your portal allows you to be private labeled and have all the content that we've made for you at the same time, but also be able to add your own recipes, your own diets, your own programs. Even if you wanted to do a recovery plan or a hormone support plan, you can add all that information by customizing the content in the portal, including somewhat of a marketing flair if you want to, and then embed all of your own drip campaigns and marketing videos. And Jim and Andy both mentioned that tracking what your patients are doing is critical. You can assess and determine what's going on and give patients a plan, but you want to interact with what they're actually accomplishing, whether they're succeeding, and then make adjustments the next time that you're ready for the follow-up assessment. So we've got a food tracker, body tracker, and activity tracker built in with a patient journal that you can have the patient share with you if you want, and also a photo gallery, HIPAA-compliant private messaging, and then all of that the patient is tracking on their end in their account on your portal is visible to you and your staff at any point that you like, anywhere that you've got an internet connection. So it's really a great tool for you to bring all of that full circle and manage it in one place. And I'm going to take a moment to I'm going to jump into a quick sample of this just to give you a couple of examples. I'm going to keep this short so we don't keep you on too long. But I wanted to give you a live version of this because a lot of times we tend to assume that you think that this might be a prototype or whether it's a working site or not. We do have a site that's been up for several years now that does all of this for you. And I wanted to show you how simply you can enroll somebody in one of these plans, and then also take a look at the content that you have available to you that you can leverage as part of your guidance and compliance portal. So I'm going to load a practitioner account. This is actually branded for Metabolic Code, although it could be ABC Wellness or Dr. Zhivago or anybody that that your brand represents. But I'm going to log in as Metabolic Code as the practitioner, and this is a sample account, so I can show you some of the content that we have here, as well as the basic function for enrolling somebody, so you can see how simple it is. Of course, I got the wrong login, so I'll change that. And Jim, while I'm in here, if anything is loading and you want to make an editorialization, feel free to jump in. We've worked together on this for a while now. So you've got a dashboard when you first log in. Jim mentioned in the PowerPoint presentation that one of the things driving the two pieces of this system is Jim Laval and Andy Heyman's Metabolic Code knowledge base. And you get all of that when you first log in your monograph library. You have hundreds of PDFs that have been curated for you to use for your own self-edification, in the case of the professional monographs, for example, but also to share with patients in a patient-friendly view and these are rendered as really nice graphical PDFs that have all of the research behind them. The references are all here, and a very nicely summarized way of explaining to a patient a condition that might be relevant just to them. So instead of sending a patient loose on WebMD or somewhere on the internet, you can actually give a patient a specific PDF that relates to a condition that they are experiencing and upload that right to their account. So you have all these available to you, hundreds of nutraceuticals, vitamins, conditions, all in your account, included with your portal, and these are all available to you at no additional charge to download and share with patients. But more to the point of the wellness plan and guidance is that you have a library in your account, and I'll let this load for a second because there's dozens and dozens of them, that includes all the diets, exercise plans, and lifestyle modification programs in a way that we've already built them out to be daily content. So a lot of times you'll, as a practitioner, I'm sure some of you are familiar with this, you'll give a patient a 5-day meal plan, or you'll hand them a PDF or a booklet, or in some cases just send them to a nutritionist or a personal trainer, but not really give them a plan for every day. So we've actually built these programs so that when somebody is receiving the content, they actually get a guidance program for each specific day. So when they land on their program, they'll actually see day one of a certain number of days, and it's laid out for them in literal daily format where they can actually see the meals that they should eat with graphics, images, preparation instructions, nutritional information, and everything that they should do as far as tips and tricks to maybe save time. If it's a snack, it might be a really simple snack. If it's a meal, it might be a really simple meal, or it might be something that's a little bit more fancy if they have time to cook a little bit more for dinner. And the Metabolic Code team and their nutritional advisors, including Laura and the rest of the team, have built recipes that are organic. They're dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free, and peanut-free, as well as low glycemic load in this first set of Phase 1 templates. And in case somebody is they've got preferences for which meals they want to create that day, or whether they don't like a particular meal, there are a lot of substitutes built in so that if they want to vary from the daily content, they have all sorts of other content built in that they can choose in just a click. And they can track these without going anywhere else. So very media-rich and very well thought out. Most people do not want to dig in any deeper than what they're told to do for today, which is why we made it a daily content delivery system. But there are also resources within each plan where they can actually read all of the additional content that goes along with the program and see PDFs and documents that go along to supplement their knowledge of the program that they're following. So most of the commonly asked questions, I know Jim has been doing these plans in his clinic for years, and we've worked out the kinks in terms of what people need and what substitutions they want. So the methodology of this, and I'll just show you one more example before we go on. We have built into this also exercise programs which include video of examples of what to do. A lot of people don't know when you tell them to do certain exercises what that looks like, and we took that into consideration. So if we built, for example, an at-home fitness plan, we didn't want to send somebody home with a plan for every day unless they actually knew what they were doing. So it tells them what they're going to be doing each day, breaks it down into body parts in some cases, and then actually tells them how much to do, what weights to use that will be safe, very conservative, and then also gives them both starting and ending point video and photos so they can actually see how to do the exercises in case it's something they're not familiar with right now. And again, that's something that's delivered to them each day, day 1, day 2, by email and by text if they'd like as well. Now the methodology of this is really simple, so I don't want to belabor this. You actually have a patient roster where you can list all the patients that you are putting on your system, but when somebody comes through the office and you want to put them on a plan to follow up on that assessment that we looked at and actually get them onto the Metabolic Code diet or some other plan, really all you need to do is put their email address into the system, and in just a couple of clicks you'll be able to enroll them and tell them to expect an activation email which is going to put them on a program on your portal. I'll make up a name here, and essentially pick a plan from your library and enroll them in that within literally seconds. So once you click on submit, it's going to send an activation email to the patient. You've told them to expect it. They can activate on their phone, their tablet, or their computer, and then once they do, they'll be looking at the content that we were just previewing on the provider side on their own account. And so they can track the food they're eating, they can track the body metrics, track their activities, and then in your provider account, you'll be able to see those tracked activities and items as they happen. So you can have the whole patient population following a different exercise plan or diet plan for each person, and you and your staff can track that internally and see how those patients are doing. Jim, any thoughts or feedback on those functions while transitioning?
No, you're doing a great job.
Okay, great. So I'm going to really quickly log out of the practitioner account to just give you an idea that the patient would receive an email in their account, usually within 60 seconds or less. The patient will get an email typically as they're walking to their car from the office, which basically says you've got a new account with your practitioner's portal, and if you'll just click on this link, you can activate that account and start your program. So we wanted this to be like literally a 20 or 30-second process for a busy practitioner or the staff, and have the same thing happen for a patient. So the patient gets their email from the Metabolic Code or ABC Wellness or Dr. Zhivago, and all they really need to do is click on a link, follow the prompts, and they'll be asked to create a password to enable their account. And we know that people are busy. We know that people are of all levels of internet savvy. So we didn't want to make this something that was going to be overly complicated. So for the patient, just like the practitioner, it's literally a 10, 15-second process from their phone, tablet, or computer. And once they enter that password, they'll be whisked away to their account under the same brand that your portal is branded as, and they'll see the content exactly the way you envisioned it. You previewed it. Once that account loads, they'll have the content that you chose for them. They'll be on their own account as the patient, and they'll have a number of tools available to them so they can report to you what they're doing. So, for example, if they want to report that they did, in fact, eat the breakfast that you chose for them, in one click they can click on I ate this for breakfast, and it will add all the foods of that meal to their food tracker. If they vary from that somewhat and they want to make a few adjustments to that, they can click on Go to Track Food, and they can put in, that they ate somewhat more or somewhat less of a particular food prescribed, and adjust their macronutrient totals as well as their caloric intake for the day. They can track activities such as aerobics, weightlifting, running, and give you an idea of what they're doing in terms of activity. And then based upon their weight and the number of minutes they spent doing that, we'll track the METS expenditure. I think that might be a lot for somebody maybe to be doing a run for that long, but we'll save that. They're going to need to eat a few more calories to make up the deficit there, or else they're going to lose too much weight. And they can track that here in the body tracker and take a look at where they're trending in terms of their goal and what their progress is against that goal. So there's just a couple of functions I want to run through quickly there. Jim and Andy, I don't know if we actually revealed this to you, but this week we're launching a new function in the journal. Patients can write things, and actually, Andy, this was at your practice's request. There is a journal here where they can write down anything that they're thinking about. Maybe they drank a lot of water, maybe they had a visit from family members that were all excited about how they lost weight or they got their gut in check. Once they click on Save Entry, it's only a private entry for the patient, but as of next week, they'll be able to click on a Share This With My Provider link, and then the provider can actually look at the journal and provide feedback in a feedback loop that's also HIPAA compliant. So a new function coming out next week there. In the meantime, they can private message the practitioner. They can add photos to their account if they want to keep a photo gallery. And then once the practitioner logs back into his or her account, and this will be the final part of the demonstration, the practitioner can actually see the information that the patient is logging in their account, which brings the patient feedback loop full circle and lets the practitioner and the patient communicate about their progress. So if I click on the patient enrollment center and go back to the patient list, the patient that we enrolled a few moments ago named Nancy can be opened up for viewing, and you can see not only what plan what plan she's on and where she's at, what date she started, but also check and see whether or not she's logging any of her food consumption in detail, what she's eating for breakfast, right down to the nutritional label and each item of that meal, but also any activity she might be tracking. I don't know if I picked a different day for that. And then also any body logs such as weight, heart rate, hips, waist, other measurements are all tracked here, and you can also, as practitioner, add those to their account. You can also upload documents individually to each patient, leave notes in your account that are contextually relevant to the patient's progress as you have meetings with them, and then also take a quick survey of some of the items that might relate to their diet and exercise or lifestyle specifically, which is not quite as in-depth as that air support questionnaire, but it might give you a quick overview of what might influence your choice of diet and other lifestyle recommendations for them. So that's the Metabolic Code portal. There's so much, the Lifestyle Guidance portal is part of the Metabolic Code system.
Can you talk, hey John, can you
Yes.
talk about how you can generate a report with this, make a PDF, and then they can import it into any EMR they want, and you have your lifestyle counseling documented, which is a big thing for reimbursement nowadays, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't currently aggregate everything into one PDF, but you can actually take any part of this. For example, if you wanted to show what the patient is doing on a daily basis, you can actually print PDFs of all of the content that is being followed, all of the food logs, and all of the activity logs, and everything that you can actually view here you can print as a PDF and upload to your EMR. And then conversely, if you've got a report from your EMR, or if you've got, as we mentioned, Jim, the nutraceutical or other monographs, you can actually upload those right here to the Lifestyle Guidance portal, so that you've got a sort of a bilateral way to look at that data in both systems. And as we know, there's different systems. Not everybody's following the same methodology. But we wanted to make it where it was bilateral in nature, so that you can upload things here, but also export them and put them there, wherever there is. It might be your EMR, it might be your CRM. We wanted to make it exportable and also importable in a bilateral fashion. And if you think it's worthwhile, Jim, I can show you. We're actually launching, again, as part of that other release, and I haven't actually shown you all the details of this, the survey that we have for the patient now is made to match the more extensive air support survey, but it's a scaled down version, but we've made the color coding very similar, so that you can get an idea of both versions being very similar, and be able to view those in a stoplight fashion. So when somebody takes that Metabolic Code diet and lifestyle questionnaire, you can actually get a color-coded version of their answers as they take that. So irritability.
You haven't even shown me this yet, John. This looks fantastic.
Yeah, we showed Basil today, and we can actually we're actually customizing all of the what next. So if somebody scores above one of your thresholds that are built in from the Metabolic Code algorithm, we can put in all sorts of video, pictures, and everything else to make this report robust for the practitioner to have a tool to discuss with the patient, even if they don't go into the extensive questionnaire, because sometimes people are resistant to that. You can hit them with a quick questionnaire and get a number and a category total in various categories, which lets you pick a diet and supplements as well. So it's really comprehensive. When you look at this with the air support system together, you won't find a better bundle of features that are available to you, I think, for the purposes that Jim and Andy have been working so hard on. And you've got all of this built into your portal as the provider in both systems. So we've got a lot more that we could cover, but essentially the Lifestyle Guidance portal is the now what portion of the system. And to wrap up part of the the discussion of what's available to you, the Lifestyle Guidance portal can be completely custom branded for your brand and your logo. You can try both of these systems, and frankly, Jim, we've got literally hundreds of doctors now trying both systems at the same time. They don't want to just try one; they want to try both and see how they'll integrate the two of them together. So you've got 30 days to try both of them. We set everything up within the same day. Our goal is very equally yoked with Andy and Jim. As a company, we want you to use the best tools possible for the best care that you can give patients, but make it very simple. So we don't want to hold you to anything. It's a month-to-month contract. If you do decide to stay with us, there's no long-term contract or setup fees. What we want is for you to get in, assess, guide, and succeed.